Hey guys, it's me. I'm back at you this week with some more fun art stuff. I really miss you guys and I hope you enjoyed this week's projects. Love y'all and I can't wait to see what you do. Bye guys. Alright guys, we are going to go ahead and get started with our lovely project for this week. So this project is assigned to kinder and first graders, but again, if you want to do it, whatever grade level you are, or a parent, it's really fun and relaxing. Okay, so we are going to do a mixed media that is inspired by Monet's Waterlilies, famous painting, famous series of paintings, really. And this is what it's going to look like when it's finished. Of course, there will be variation with how it looks because you might have different colors for your flower, which is totally fine. So to begin, you are going to need, for supplies, you'll need white paper, preferably something thicker than printer paper. You will need colored construction paper. You'll need, like I'm doing an orange and red flower, but if you want to do like a yellow and orange flower or just a red flower or red and pink flower, that's your choice. And then you need green paper for the water lily, and then you'll need yellow paper for part of the flower, okay? And then you will also need, if you have watercolor, then you'll use watercolor. And so you'll need a paintbrush and a tray of paint. If you don't have watercolor, you can use markers for this or crayons. If you're using watercolor, you will also need some salt. You will need some glue stick or liquid, like bottled glue is fine too, like Elmer's liquid glue or this Eileen's glue, which I like. And you will need a pencil, an eraser, and finally a ruler, okay? So these are all the things you are going to need. All right, let's get started, my friends. I am excited. All right, so this is it's gonna be made up of many different parts. So the first thing you're going to do is create what's called a watercolor wash. And a watercolor wash simply means that there's a whole lot of water on that paper and there's a little bit of paint, but the paper, the watercolor will change and move around because of the paint, because of the water that's on the surface of the paper. So I never do all of it at one time because obviously the water can soak through the paper. And so I use my brush sort of in a way to bring water to my paper. And then you're trying to create water, so I suggest you use blues if you have more than one blue, and greens. You see what's happening, you guys? Do you see that gorgeous situation that's happening? You touch your tip to that really watery surface and look at what happens. Look at how the water just like moves it around like that. It's just so beautiful. And I'm going to go in here to another darker blue and do the same thing and add, using the tip of my brush, I'm just kind of bringing some of that in there, and I want to mix those two colors together at the same time, because if you do it separately, then they won't mix and interact like they're doing right now, okay? So you can do blues, and you can do blues and greens, or you can just do blues alone, okay? So now I'm going to do the other half of my paper. So soak that paper up, not spending too much time trying to rub anything in, not trying to smooth anything out, because of course when we look at water, a photo of water or a painting of water, it never looks like perfectly flat, right? Like it has, you can see different variety of sort of light and dark and ripples and, you know, things that look like they're wrinkles and some things that look, you know, like they're moving, you know, and that's kind of what we're trying to create here. And while it is nice and wet like this, while it's really nice and wet, you want to go ahead and add some salt to it. So I am sprinkling the salt on, and do you see what beautifulness happens when you sprinkle the salt on like that? It is stunning. So that is finished for the watercolor portion. Of course, I'm going a little faster. You need to stop whenever you need to slow things down. Just pause, and then you can continue working on it on your own. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next step. You no longer need your watercolor, so I'm going to wipe this. Now, if you were to use marker, then it would be a little bit different. And let me show you what you would do if you had marker or crayons. So what you would want to do is you would want to try to find as many sort of blues, like watercolors, as you could find. And then instead of just coloring a flat surface, you could kind of do, see how I'm doing this sort of like long, scribbly, but kind of back and forth motion? Like you could do that, and then you could come in with your next color. And you see how that's kind of going into all the white spaces that are left over, and it's also doing some overlapping. So that's what you would want to do if you were using marker or color pencil or crayon, okay? You'd want to kind of get this effect, which is a little bit different, a little bit more textury, but that's okay. All right, moving on. Now we are going to start with the next steps. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to get your green paper and your pencil, and you want to draw something that is shaped kind of like a water lily. Now, watch me. I'm going to go through this step by step so that you can do it with me slowly, okay? Okay, so first thing you want to do is, I'm using like a half sheet of construction paper for this, but you can use a whole, like you can make this bigger or smaller depending on your supplies and your time. But whatever you use, you want to try to use as much as you can of that piece of paper. So for example, I'm going to do this curve right here on this side, like that, and then I'm going to continue that curve over to this side as much as possible, and then I'm going to go up here and curve down a little bit and then curve back up a little bit. It reminds me a little bit of sort of like a water, like a, sorry, not a water, like a heart-shaped balloon or something. It's kind of heart-shaped. So then you'll want to cut that out, okay? Cut on your line as much as possible. Cut, cut, cut. And once it is cut out, you can put it aside because you won't need it anymore until later on, okay? Then you guys, you're going to get your paper that is going to be the color of your flower. And like I said, my flower is orange and red. So it's really up to you. I wouldn't do green. If you wanted to do like a blue flower, that's fine too. But I think it's nice contrast to have more than one color, which is why I'm doing my red and my orange. And what you're going to do is whatever two colors you're using that are, you know, close on the color wheel to each other, like red and orange are right by each other, you're going to stack them on top of each other, okay? Just stack them right on top of each other. And then we're going to do a little bit of drawing on the top, on the paper that is like you can see it, okay? So this is the shape that you're going to do many times until you fill up the paper, but we're going to do two different sizes, so pay attention. Okay, so over here, I'm going to come up, and then I'm going to come over like that, and then I'm going to curve upwards like that, and then curve back down. Kind of looks like the shape of a leaf, and then back out, and then down. So that is the shape right there. So you're going to do a whole bunch of those. Draw them, draw them, draw them. So that's the first shape. You're going to fill up your paper, boys and girls. So I would do like maybe half the paper in large ones and then the other half the paper with smaller ones. And let me show you the smaller shape. The smaller shape is like that. And then you go up. You see how much smaller that one is? So it's basically like two different sizes. And the only reason I didn't put this line here is because the edge of my paper kind of becomes that line. Once your paper is completely filled up with these, like so you have it everywhere, then you can start to cut them out. And you can cut them out, right on the line, and you can cut the two pieces of paper together so that you end up, every time you cut a piece out, it's actually two pieces, right? So when you're done cutting these out, you will have, you know, a nice little pile of these things, right? And remember, boys and girls, when you're cutting, it shouldn't be uncomfortable to cut, okay? You should be able to easily, the easiest way is to turn your paper as you need to turn to cut at a different location, okay? So you turn that paper And as I'm curving, I turn my paper instead of my wrist, okay? So once you have cut all of those pieces out, you're going to end up with a whole pile of them, right? You can see I've got a lot of them. I've got some small ones and some big ones. So I want to make sure I keep all my large ones together and all my small ones together. So I'm going to put the big ones here and big, 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 bigger, bigger, bigger. And here are some little ones right here, okay? You would ideally want about the same, okay? Like just as many big ones as small ones. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your yellow paper, and your yellow paper, if you know how to use a ruler, then you're going to measure on that yellow paper. Like if it's a large sheet of paper, you want your paper to be 8 inches, which is usually a little bit smaller than the length of a piece of construction paper. But basically, you want it to be about 8 inches. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you want it to be about 1 inch wide. So even if you can't use a ruler, look at the actual ruler that I'm carrying, okay? This ruler, if you were to simply put this on a yellow piece of paper and trace around it, you've got your size and shape for this next part, okay? Once you have it drawn, you are then going to cut it out. So you have this nice, long, skinny strip. And the next thing you're going to do is make little marks on it. But I need you to pay attention to how far down I make these marks. They're like little stripes, okay? So they're here, but look at where I stop. I do not go all the way down. So I'm going to keep going all the way until I get to the end. Look at where I'm stopping. They all have to be in the same place. I don't go all the way down. It's really important that you don't go all the way down. So I would say, you know, more than halfway down, but just be careful because we're going to cut on these lines and we want these little strips to still be attached to sort of a base of the yellow paper, okay? So stripes, stripes, stripes. Okay, once you have that, my friends, then you can take this yellow strip and you can start to cut on your lines. Notice it's still attached. I did not cut all the way to the end. So cut, 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 and just go all the way down. All the way down your line, not to the very end. We still want them to be attached, so it looks kind of like a fringe. Or think of like a hula skirt. That's all attached at the top where it's on the waist, but then it's not. It's separated going down. So cut, cut, cut. Now, this piece here, we're going to go ahead and put it to the side. And then we're going to grab our water lily, okay? That's the green thing that we cut at the very beginning. Now, all of your pieces are going to get glued on here, and every time you add a piece, this little base part here, this little thing right here that looks like a pedestal, is going to get glued into the center here, okay? So I'm going to put a little dot there in the middle of my lily pad. And then I'm going to go ahead and put glue on all my pieces, okay? So I'm just going to do one at a time. So pay attention. I am going to put the glue only on this little base thing down here. And then I'm going to bend my paper like that. So now it looks folded. And then I place my little petal like that. So this is still sticking up and this is glued down. And since I'm doing alternating colors, I'm going to go ahead and go red, orange, red, orange, red, orange. Look at how I overlap my petals, okay? They're overlapped, but it's still working in the center. And every time I want to add one, I'm going to spin my paper a little bit, spin my green my green water lily so that I can continue sort of in a round fashion to make that round bird. So here I go again. And then here's an orange one. And we're going to attach it. And then red, same thing, glue only on the base, fold it a little bit, only gluing the part down that's at the base, and everything's just kind of overlapping. And again, and fold, and again. Notice I continue to add it in the center. I'm going to get another piece, and I'm going to put the glue on it, and fold it, and put it here. And then I'll get an orange one to continue my pattern. Fold it right at that base, attach it to the center. Okay, so now you have your first layer of color. Okay, you've got your first layer. We're going to move on now to a second layer. So now I'm going to go around with the rest of my big ones. I'm going to end up having approximately 2 layers of big petals, and then 1 layer of small petals. So again, I'm going to put the glue on the base, fold it a little. At this point, my hands are getting a little sticky, but that's okay. And now every time I add the paper, I'm going to add it, I'm going to put it to where it's fitting in between a space that's opened and showing the green. So I would put it there, right? Because there's a gap of space that was there. Fold it, glue, attach, and turn it just a little, and fold it, glue, attach, fold it, glue, attach, and see it's all overlapping right here in the center. And continue, fold it, glue, attach, fold it, glue. Oh boy, that one just tore, but that's okay because I know what to do. Okay, so I'm going to glue that piece together because it just tore, because these things happen, and then I'm going to put it down here like that. And so I've got my 2 layers of both colors, and now I'm going to come in with my little one. So glue on the base. I'm still going to glue the base in the middle, okay? And then I'm just going to continue going around. So glue, attach, glue, fold it, attach it, all in the center still. Glue, fold, attach, glue, fold, attach, glue, fold, attach. All right, now I have my beautiful water lily. The next step is going to be to take this yellow fringy thing that I did, and I'm going to roll it on itself, okay? So I'm holding it like this, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue right here, and then I'm going to start rolling it, like if you see how I'm rolling it like this on itself. And I just put a little bit of glue there to kind of get me started, and then I don't have to put glue the whole way through. I can literally just pause and put glue on part of it, definitely on the very end and definitely at the very beginning. And then glue, glue, put that in a roll, and then this is kind of what it ends up looking like when you're finished, right? It's like a tube. A little bit more glue there. All right, so for this next part, it is better to use liquid glue, like some kind of liquidy glue. Think about Elmer's or Eileen's tacky glue, or if you don't have any of those things, you can try with the glue stick. I don't think it would stay on permanently with the glue stick, but you would want to put some glue around, not where the fringy stuff is, but down here at the base. You'd want to put some glue around there, okay? And then you would stick that right there in the middle, and you're gonna have to kind of push it down a little, apply a little bit of pressure, And these things are gonna get a little bit crazy for a while, but that's okay because these, you're gonna end up opening them up a little bit anyway so that they look kind of crinkly like this, okay? And that will be sitting out to dry, and most likely it's possible that your painting, your watercolor, mine is still very wet, is still wet. So if it's still wet, don't attach this yet, okay? Leave these separate until this is dry, and then you would attach this, okay? So let me show you the finished product on the dry one. So you can see that I attached my petal right in the center of my watercolor paper once it's dry. And I put mine, when I did this one yesterday, I put it outside and it did dry in the sun by the time I was able to attach this. And that's it, you guys. This is our Monet's Waterlilies project. I hope you have fun. Remember, there is no pressure, boys and girls. You do what you can do when you can do it. If you enjoy it, do it. If you have too many other things going on, that's okay. You guys are awesome, and I really am enjoying seeing all your artwork, so I can't wait to see you next school year. Love you guys. Bye.